Hello, welcome back to my first actual devlog, or if you're a new viewer and don't know who I am, I'm the main character from Idlefisher. Anyways, I'm not going to go over this right now. I described the game and went way more into detail in my last video. Sorry I haven't uploaded a video in so long. The last time I uploaded another video was last year. This video will be more in-depth about how I added some of the mechanics over the last few weeks and new progress that I've made. I will be explaining the new features along with describing some of the logic behind them. I'll also give you a different background to look at, since the old one is probably getting boring. Here, let me just move the camera. Perfect. This is one of the other worlds that I wanted to make. It's a snowy theme, and I thought it would be fitting since it's like winter or something. Before I get started, I wanted to give an update on some of the things that I changed since my last video. I got a good suggestions from the comments about the NPC buttons. Instead of just having them sitting there and cluttering the screen, it would be better if they were only there when the player needed them. So I made a button that would contain all the others. When clicked, it would open up and show all the discovered NPCs. The next suggestion that I got was about the fonts. I realized that some of the font can be difficult to read, so I'll be adding a feature that allows the player to change the font to a normal font. As for the future, if you have any ideas or cool new features, feel free to comment them down below as I am open to any feedback. Alright, now for fishing. I kinda went over this part quickly in my last video, but there's way more to it. I wanted a system where the difficulty of catching fish would be increasing as the player leveled. Ooh. I didn't want this game to be as simple as rapidly clicking to get rewards. There needed to be some level of focus that the player would be rewarded for, so it wasn't so mind-numbing. For example, Leaf Blower Revolution had something similar. Higher level leaves had more weight to them, making them harder to blow. As players collected enough leaves, they would be able to buy new leaf blowers that would have a stronger blowing value. This would help players by pushing newer leaves at a much greater power. With Eidolon, the players required to level up, get stronger to fight the enemies, mine ore, and chop trees in the later levels. The player can get strong in multiple ways by upgrading gear, crafting new and more challenging items, spending talent points, and leveling up. The player can go to different locations to find new enemies and resources. Each world, as the player gets further and further from base, gets more challenging but also increases the rewards. For Stardew Valley, the player is required to buy better and better fishing rods with their gold. They are then prompted to play a minigame to keep the fish inside this green bar. Once inside the green bar for long enough, they catch the fish. The player can buy better fishing rods, which increase the size of the green bar. There are also bait upgrades which allow for the green bar to get even bigger. Although I liked a lot of the components of Stardew's fishing minigame, it takes a long time to complete. I wanted something that could be completed quickly while still requiring a little bit of skill. Taking too long to complete each cast wouldn't make the game feel like an idle game in my opinion. Alright, everyone hold your breath. For fishing, there will be 5 fish in each world. Each fish has a few of its own stats including a power level, speed, combo stat, and a few more I'll get to in a second. To explain the power level, I need to quickly explain how the fishing rod works. Fishing rods also have a power level that allows them to catch any fish that has a lower power level. Look at Minecraft for example. If the player has a wooden pickaxe, they can't mine iron. If they have a stone pickaxe, they aren't able to mine diamonds. The speed of each fish is pretty obvious. It's how fast the fish swims across the combo bar. Remember the combo bar? It's a quick time event that the player has to complete to catch a fish. Having a higher fishing rod level will slow down this speed, so it's easier to increase the player's combo. And the combo stat. For this stat, when the combo bar comes up, each fish will have a different green and yellow combo stat to them. The higher the fish, the smaller the size of the combo box gets. Again, higher the level of the fishing rod will help increase the size of the combo box. So catching new fish can be a little tough with fast fish and a high needed accuracy and precision, but when going back to lower level worlds, they will be a lot easier to catch. Each fish will also have a probability stat. This stat is pretty simple. When fishing, the player will catch a fish at random. Lower level fish will have a higher probability. For example, the first fish would have a catch rate of something like 40%, while the second fish might have a chance of 25%. If the player is only able to catch the first fish, then the percentage would scale up to 100. If the player is only able to catch the first 2 fish, then the chance of catching each fish would be about 61.5 and 38.5% respectively. This is what the code looks like. I'll explain it quickly. The first line is if the player can fish, otherwise stop everything. Then we go to the calc fish function. From here we can calculate a random number from 0 to 1. Then the calc fish probability function is called. The function starts off with the premium chance, which I'll talk about in a second. Then this bit adds up all the probabilities of the catchable fish. Then the multiplier calculates how to scale a value from 0 to 1. Almost done. This chunk of code then adds the probability to all the previous fish's probability. Then finally the golden fish is added up at the end and return the list. Now that we have a probability list, let's go back to the calcfish function. Now loop through the list and find where the random number is less than the probability and return the fish. Now we have a fish that the player can catch. Hold on, let me catch my breath. Alright, what do we have next? Really? My script's telling me that we gotta go back on our water. Well, along with the normal fish, there's also a special one called the golden fish. This is a very unique idea that I've never seen anywhere else. Anyways, this is a rare fish that the player can catch. When caught, the fish will give a few different types of buffs. Either catch more fish for a certain duration, or instant money. There are also two different levels of the catching more fish buff. Either a long and low catch buff, or a fast and high catch buff. With this buff, the player will also collect the golden fish as currency. This currency I will talk about in later videos once I figure out what to do with them. But they are essentially gems to buy other upgrades or maybe vanity items. These golden fish are excluded from the percentage calculation that I was mentioning earlier. These fish always have the same percentage, so there won't be a higher percent chance when you can catch fewer fish. I also put these fish on a special cooldown timer, which I have upgrades to reduce later. This time is to prevent the player from catching hundreds of fish over a short duration of time. Once the player gets really fast at catching fish, the number of boosts would be too much. So this timer will prevent that from happening. So there is both a timer and percentage that the player will need to catch the fish. I wanted a way for players to see all the fish in a nice list with all their stats. I love stats and being able to see numbers in progress. I wanted the player to be able to see what fish they've caught, how many, and every other detail behind the scenes. I don't like games that hide these buff increases, so I made a journal. This is a list of fish sorted by each world and level. It is a collection of the fish in the game. Only the ones that the player has caught will be visible. After caught, the fish will be clickable. Once clicked, another screen will open showing a lot of detail about the fish. This screen will show the fish's base currency, current currency, number caught, power level, speed, yellow and green combo stats, and its probability. Also, I added a new feature when the player catches a fish for the first time, it will notify them, so they are able to check their updated journal. Alright, now that I've explained how fishing is going to work, I'll explain some of the boring stuff, how the fish data is stored. As of right now, the best way I found was to store the information in a simple text file named fishdata.csv. The data is essentially a 2D grid, where each column is a different variable like name, description, price, etc., while each row is a new fish. I might go over this in more detail in another video, but the fish's first variable is an ID. Each fish has a unique valued ID just like a database would. This allows for me to easily loop through the fish's list and find a specific fish I would want based on the ID. For example, since I know that each world has 5 fish, I could easily find the first fish in each world by going through a list by increments of 5. So that's pretty much the full overview of fishing. Now I could check off fishing from my long list of features that I need to add. There's a few more buffs and other features that I haven't gone over yet, but will in some of my later videos. For my next video, I plan to focus on auto fishers and to get them fully working. It would be nice to get the idle part of my game up and running, since that's the main point of the game. Thanks again for watching, and maybe check out this video if you haven't yet.